All right, now the Nigerian government has charged the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, with illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. The case consisting of two counts of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition was filed against Emefiele at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The SSS had held Emefiele, who was arrested on the 10th of June, for over a month without charging him to court until Thursday's ruling. Now, in the newly filed case, the agency accused him of possessing a single barrel shotgun without a license, an offense said to be contrary to Section 4 of the Firearms Act and punishable under Section 27 1B of the same Act. In a desperate move to obtain an order for his arrest, the SSS had stated on oath in December 2022 that Emefiele was sponsoring the outlawed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. In a slew of weighty allegations, the SSS accused him of sabotaging President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, financing terrorism, aiding and abetting terrorism, and committing other economic crimes to undermine Nigeria's national security. Well, the SSS had arrested Emefiele at his home in Lagos on the 10th of June and immediately flew him to Abuja to face interrogations. Now, worried about SSS denial of access to him in custody, his lawyers and family members had launched a fundamental human rights enforcement suit on his behalf at the Federal High Court's territory, FCT High Court in Abuja. Now, on the 16th of June, the court ordered the Director General of SSS, Yusuf Bichi, to grant lawyers access to the suspended CBN governor in custody. The court issued the order based on a request by the detainee's lawyer, Joseph Daudu. Now, during the Buhari's administration, we do know that Emefiele pursued an unpopular Naira redesign policy that brought untold hardship to many Nigerians. But the policy put him on the line of verbal attacks from President Bola Ahmed, who was then campaigning for office ahead of the last presidential election in February. Since coming to office, Tinubu had attacked Emefiele, accusing him of destroying Nigeria's financial system. Oh well, we have joining us to make sense of this and more. We have Victor Ohai and Nick Agule. They're both public affairs commentators. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victor. All right, good morning,
Good morning.
Nick.
Yeah, good
Good to have
morning
you.
and good morning to our viewers.
All right, good to have you with us. Now, when you heard after the court ruling, I'm going to ask Nick now. When you heard after the court ruling that finally the DSS is charging Emefiele to court, what were your thoughts?
Thank you very much for that question. Anytime I hear or read about the DSS, a lot of things come to my mind because I don't have love for this organization. My understanding of what the DSS is as a body is to gather intelligence, and if they find cogent intelligence that suggests that our national security will be breached in any way, they have to now pass on this information to other security agencies that will work in collaboration with them to bring the perpetrators to book. But this agency carries on its activities in a way that is difficult to fathom. For instance, in the run-up to the general elections, the agency came forward and said they have unraveled plans by setting, they didn't mention whether they were individuals or corporate or nations, to install an illegal government in Nigeria. And most of us were querying, how is it possible for someone to install an illegal government and have the service chiefs report to them, have the civil service report to them and all that. And this agency didn't bother to give us any indication. So what appeared then was like the agency was just heating up the polity, creating tension in the country when its role should be the other way around.
All right then.
So I view the actions of this agency with suspicion. However, if they have charged Godwin Emefiele, the former CBN governor, to court, then we will see what the courts are going to say based on the evidence that is before them. So that is the right thing to do. If someone is suspected or alleged to have broken any of our laws, you put them through the judicial system. And then let us see what the judicial arm of government is going to say about that. So we are going to now see how this is going to play out.
All right.
So those are my first thoughts about the whole case.
All right then. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Well, my colleague Esther Nwachukwu is with me in the studio. Welcome, Esther.
Thank you very much.
All right then.
All right, Victor Ohai, this question is for you. So before, the DSS was able to tender their petition against Godwin Emefiele, it took them almost a month to do that. You recall that in 2022, the DSS gave weighty allegations against Emefiele for sponsoring terrorist activities, especially IPOP precisely, and then of course for having to possibly injure the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Those were the allegations that the SSS had against him. Don't you think it's ironical that now that they were eventually asked to tender, whatever allegations they have against him, what they were able to present was just ammunition, a shotgun, and some live cartridges? I mean, let's compare what they said they had against him in 2022, and eventually now you had to present a case in court against him, and he's basically saying that it's a shotgun he had in his house. So, would you consider the SSS not to be truthful, or are they like a tool for having to intimidate persons, or try to, yes, basically intimidate persons?
Thank you very much. I see a desperation to nail a person. I see vendetta playing out, obviously. And I see, if you ask me, blatant abuse of power, state power. Emefiele, well, nobody is a saint in or out of government. There's no two ways about it, and especially not before God, but even if not before government. If a government wants to nail you by any means necessary, they will do that. What I see here is a situation where they're just looking for any and every excuse to deal with Emefiele for whatever reasons. And I find it surprising that he's picked upon, because if you recall, Obasanjo told us quite clearly that in appointing advisors, they are free to advise, but it is a prerogative to accept or reject the advice. That's what leadership basically is about. Being able to discern in the midst of all the counsel that you get and apply, the very best in achieving or in, leading whatever team that you're leading. Emefiele is that, there's a change of the naira and then a few other things. But the thing is this: there is no decision that Emefiele takes or can take alone by himself. He's a part of the executive arm of government, and he reports to the presidency. We saw that because the Minister of Finance said she was not privy to what was going on, and he on his own could not have been able to do what he did without getting approvals. And in getting that approval, it means that the president was aware, the president listened to all the counsels that were necessary, the president gave his approval, and this was implemented. Now, politicians have taken it as a plan to frustrate them. And I wonder if Emefiele is so powerful powerful enough to be able to implement whatever plans he thinks he has. I'm a bit worried by what is happening because on the part of the DSS, Nick has captured it excellently. In most countries, and the way DSS from the previous its predecessors or the name it had before, SSS, was supposed to operate is, just intelligence on the ground. The truth is, you're not supposed to know who is a member of DSS at all. He could be your neighbor.
Okay. Mr. Agule, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All right, Mr. Agule. So this is the scenario. Femi Falan has actually reacted to the development concerning Emefiele. He said it is actually a downgrade of the SSS to actually file such
Can you
a.
hear me?
Oh,
Hello, I'm
okay.
back.
You've come back.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm using my phone and the call came in. I'm very sorry, we have got it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, well, you're not supposed to know who they are at all. But here we are, they have a face, obviously not a human face, I call it a monstrous face, because whatever face they show is a face of terror. Terror in the sense that they are just there to oppress you, fellow citizens. We're not supposed to know them. Nick, like I said, rightly pointed it out, they're supposed to do all the intelligence, pass it on to the police, whose job it is to go and do prosecution and all that. But what you find now is a situation where the executive arm of government is using them, to deal with enemies or perceived enemies.
All right, Mr. Agule. Mr. Nick,
Yes,
okay,
I'm
thank
here.
you. Thank you very much. I think another call must have come in for Victor Hart. So I was trying to ask, Femi Falana was quite disappointed that that was basically the kind of charge that the SSS was presenting at the court when they were finally given the opportunity to charge
Hello?
Emefiele. But look at this scenario. Apparently, Showore, you do know he's a presidential aspirant, and he said something that if Emefiele is taken into custody, if at all they want to victimize him, or if there's any form of vendetta, that Emefiele will bring down the family of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Emefiele has a lot of secrets against these politicians, and so possibly the SSS had no choice but to present such a very surface and light petition against him. Would you agree with that train of thought?
Yes, I very much agree that the charges as filed, uh, as alleged in December of
22.
2022, and the charges finally filed in court last week, a downgrade, because in December 2022, when the DSS sought the arrest of the former CBN governor, he was a sitting CBN governor as at that time. The charges were of financing terrorism. Specifically, they mentioned the IPOB and all that. And the charges that have now been filed last week are possession of a firearm, specifically a handgun, and then possession of live ammunition. These are the two charges. So they are definitely a downgrade of the charges. But regardless, the DSS, if they are listening to us, or their handlers are listening to us, or those who know them are listening to us, they should tell them that we on this panel, I believe that is our common position, is that the image of the DSS has been battered based on the way and manner they have carried out their roles in the past. And it is high time for them to repair their image. And the only way they can repair their image and gain the confidence of Nigerians is by doing things the right way as an organized government entity. We expect that it is manned by people who are trained, who know our laws, who understand counterterrorism, who are vast in intelligence gathering, both on the national, international scale, and they should come out in that professionalism so that Nigerians can trust them, Nigerians can believe in the work they are doing. So far, there is a huge trust deficit for this organization called the DSS,
Okay.
and
All
they
right.
need urgent steps to correct that.
All right. So let me come to you now, Victor. Now, yes, we are trying to compare what the DSS, what they swore under oath in December in a bid to arrest the suspended governor of the CBN, and what they have charged him to court for. Now, that was financing terrorism, which was heavy. It's a heavy crime. Now, as soon as the court said, take him to court or let him go, they quickly, filed a charge, and it's for possession of for firearms and ammunition in his Lagos home. Now this seems like the DSS is putting that forward so they will not be in contempt of court. All right. So they're putting that forward in hopes that they will build other cases against him or bring up another case against him, another charge against him. That's, well, this seems like what it is. Or what do you think, Victor? All right. We seem to have lost the connection with Victor. Well, I hear that you need to unmute your microphone, Victor, if you're still with us, because we can't hear you. And would like to get your response to this. Oh, well, in a situation whereby we are unable to establish communication with Victor, I guess I'm left with no choice but to stay with you, Nick, on this one. Nick, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you very much. Now, you heard the question. Is it sh- should we see, or are we going to see a situation whereby other charges will be brought up much later?
It is very possible. It's very possible that this hurried filing of the case at court is to avoid the judgment of the Federal High Court that gave the DSS a 1 week ultimatum within which to charge the former CBN governor to court or release him, at least on bail, on administrative bail, at least. So it's possible that they hurriedly now went to court to charge him with the charge of possession of firearms and then ammunition, so that he can buy time and then finalize work on other charges that they may have. But that is, we're in the world of speculation, and this is where I also find communication by the DSS inadequate. The DSS need to come across to Nigerians as the servants of Nigerians. It is lost upon those who work in government that their title is civil servant or public servant. Whichever way, there is servant in their title. It means they are servants to Nigerians. They are our servants. They are not our masters. And a servant cannot be holding information from the master. The master must know fully what is happening, at least up to the point that it is not going to impact negatively on security, national security. But the DSS has been very poor in communication. They come across haphazardly. They talk as if it's so pedestrian. The way they communicate, you will think they are in some sort of chat room. It's not professional. And I think the entire leadership of that organization needs to be overhauled. So that is one thing President Tinubu needs to look at
All right.
to increase the capacity of that organization, because they are not punching their weight.
All right, Mr. Nick Agbule. So here is basically what I need to hear from you how precise this claim is. Sure, stated that The modus operandi of the DSS is basically to hold Emefiele in their custody, that it has nothing to do with the gravity of his acclaimed high crimes, as the DSS claims, which of course they couldn't substantiate, but basically it is to hold him down on behalf of those in power. Because he made reference to Mahmoud Yakub of INEC and says that possibly Emefiele was not in tandem with the current president, or possibly the Naira redesign policy, which sort of frustrated, the campaign efforts of the current administration in charge. And so basically that was one of the vendetta moves. Would you agree with Showore that this is basically the intention of government to hold him down, suppress him, intimidate him, and then possibly let him just fade off completely from public administration or any intention at all to run for any political office in future?
Thank you very much. My response is that I am not privy to the information that the former presidential candidate Showore has got that has made him to make such a public proclamation. Therefore, I am not going to side with him, neither am I going to be on his side, because I don't have the information. What I know is that time will tell.
Okay.
Whatever it is that is the motive for the DSS continued detention of Mr. Emefiele and the filing of charges against him now, if there is a motive behind it more than what we are seeing, that motive is going to unravel with time.
All right then.
So that is what is going to happen for us.
All right then.
Yes.
As we wait for time to tell us the things going on, time might be telling us a whole lot more, because if time tells us that the DSS lied under oath in December 2022 when it brought charges of financing terrorism against Godwin Emefiele, what do you think would happen to the DSS? What do you think should happen to the DSS if it's discovered that they lied under oath?
So I don't have access to the charge sheet back in December on what happened, because I know that security agencies, when they charge people to court, either depending on the proceedings as they are ongoing in court, or depending on further investigation that they have carried out, time comes when they downgrade charges. Like I'm here in the UK, sometimes we hear the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the government organization responsible for prosecuting criminal offenses. They sometimes downgrade charges from murder to manslaughter. Okay. Sometimes they upgrade charges from manslaughter to murder. So and then they go back to court to apply to substitute charges and all of that. So I think there are processes in terms of doing that. So if it was something that the DSS, of course, swore on oath that this was it, then when you are swearing on oath, you are actually swearing that you know that this is what it is. But if they were filing charges in court to say this man is alleged to have committed this offense, of course, it's the court that is going to determine whether the man is guilty or is not guilty.
Mr. Agbule, this is the scenario. I think this time around the DSS or the SSS shot themselves in the leg. In December 2022, you wrote to a court that you wanted to arrest the CBN governor. You claimed that you had evidence of him financing terrorists, IPOB, and other government infractions or misappropriation of funds. Now, you said you had evidence to prove, and you basically did not even let the judge know the full name of the individual you wanted to get an arrest warrant from to detain. It was the judge who had to ask, who is this particular individual? Before, of course, it was realized that it was Godwin Emefiele of the CBN. Now, Godwin Emefiele came out to say something that, you know what, let us fight. If you want to fight, I am ready for you. Let's go to battle. Let us see the evidence you have against me, which actually corroborates the fact that the previous administration was, of course, in tandem with whatever policy the CBN governor was implementing at the time. You now have an opportunity this time around to present this same charge you presented in 2022, and you downgraded it to shotgun ammunition. You swore under oath that you had evidence against this man, and you're saying that there will be no punitive measures against the DSS. Nobody's going to write anything against them. And this is one in several instances that the DSS have detained persons without following due procedure. So the question again we're asking is, has the DSS become a tool, a political tool of every occupant in Aso Rock Villa?
Thank you very much. Like I earlier indicated, I have no love for the DSS as it stands today. I think the DSS have lost their license for us, or majority of Nigerians, to trust them. So, of course, the way they have carried out this case would suggest that there are other motives apart from the real charge of terrorism as it was in December, or now possession of firearm. The case is not being conducted professionally, and that is the way the DSS have been acting over time. We have had a DSS that is more into rushing to the press to issue statements that cause tension, and instead of the DSS being a covert organization. Covert organization is even in your TV station. The way the DSA is supposed to operate is that they are supposed to come there and plant somebody in that TV station. If they think that there are other things happening in that TV station, they either go through existing staff, or they actually get someone recruited who is their agent. And their role is just to gather evidence. This is what the DSS is meant to do. So the way they have been carrying out their operations over time, I think what you are saying against them can hold ground, that it appears they don't know what they are doing, because if you had evidence back in December that this man is funding terrorism, where is that evidence? At least you have to show that this is the evidence that we had, and then show that evidence was not cogent enough. But as it stands today, we want this case taken through the judicial process, because it's only the judiciary that is able to pronounce people guilty or not. And if through that judicial process the DSS is found wanting, then the judicial process can also levy any sanctions that they want on any individuals or persons within that same DSS.
Mr. Bule, don't you think it's ridiculous that they detained Emefiele for 1 month to come up with such a charge? And the possession of firearms, is that not the responsibility of the police to, investigate and file a charge of, rather than the DSS?
Yes, it is ridiculous. I believe in the rule of law. I live in the UK, and I know that the UK is what it is because there's the rule of law here. If you commit any crime here, it doesn't matter who you are, the law is going to come after you. In fact, if you drive and beat the red light at a traffic, most of the traffic lights have cameras mounted on them. And when the camera takes a picture of your vehicle to have beaten the traffic light, it's even a computer that is going to issue your ticket. It's not even a human being. A computer automatically issues your ticket, and it is dropped in the post coming to you with a charge. So the human is not a human being who will look at your face and say, oh, this is Prince of Wales. No, this is King Charles car, so we're not going to. No. Everybody is held to account. So until we have a country where everybody is held to account, we're not going to enjoy our country. So it is ridiculous, I agree with you, that the DSS picked somebody and locked him up for 1 month, breaking all the laws of Nigeria that you have to charge somebody within 48 hours or you release them. That didn't happen, and they had to wait for a court to force their hands. And I commend the Federal High Court for actually taking such a bold decision. That's what we need. We need courageous judiciary that can take decisions regardless of whether they think that the DSS is playing the script of the government in power now,
Or not.
or the type of individuals that are involved in the case. So definitely that was not right. That they held him without any charge for 1 month, and they have now been forced by a court of competent jurisdiction to do the right thing. And now
Oh,
that the right thing is being done, let them bring the evidence against Mr. Emefiele. And if that evidence convinces the judiciary to find him guilty, let it be so. But otherwise, let them set him free to go.
all right then. Okay. Well, I did look up the Firearms Act of 2000 and I think 2004, and it's 500 naira to actually get a license. Yeah, but the process takes time, 6 months to 1 year. Oh well, I must say, excuse me, a very big thank you to you, Nick Agule. But we're keeping you on. We're keeping you on as we go to another topic. Now, the naira has been floated, but it seems to be sinking even more and more. Now, let's talk about this with you, Victor. I beg your pardon, Nick Agule and Victor Ohai. So, Victor, please do stay with us as well. We'll come back. We'll just take a little break, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, stay with us.